Hey guys, so a student asked, what is the International Space Station and why is it so important? The short answer is that the ISS is a multi-nation construction project that's the largest single structure humans ever put into space. Its main construction was completed between 1998 and 2011, taking more than 30 missions to assemble, although the station continually evolves to include new missions and experiments. The space station flies at an average altitude of 248 miles or 400 kilometers above Earth, circling the globe every 90 minutes at a speed of about 17,500 miles per hour or 28,000 kilometers per hour. In one day, the station travels about the distance it would take to go from Earth to the Moon and back. The cool thing about the ISS is it can be seen from the Earth without the use of a telescope by night sky observers. If you're interested, you can check out NASA's website, Spot the Station, to know when and where to look for it. But how did this project even come about? So, a quick history lesson. Back in the 1980s, US President Ronald Reagan had authorized NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, to build a space station within 10 years, which at the time was named Freedom. However, since this initial plan, the station had been redesigned in the 90s, with changes being made to reduce costs and expand international involvement in the project, with the US and Russia agreeing in 1993 to merge their separate space station plans into a single facility called the International Space Station, or ISS. The ISS includes contributions from 15 nations totally, and their respective agencies, including Russia's Roscosmos, the European Space Agency, the Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency, and the Canadian Space Agency. The International Space Station was taken into space piece by piece and gradually built into orbit using spacewalking astronauts and robotics. Most missions used NASA's space shuttle to carry up the heavier pieces, although some individual modules were launched on single-use rockets. Assembly of the ISS began with the launches of the Russian control module Zarya on November 20th of 1998, and the US built Unity on December 4th of the same year, which were linked in orbit by US Space Shuttle astronauts. In 2000, the Russian-built module Zvezda, a habitat and control center, was added, and on November 2nd of that year, the ISS received its first resident crew, comprising of Russian cosmonauts Sergei Krikalev and Yuri Gudzenko, and American astronaut William Shepard, who flew up in a Soyuz spacecraft. Some of the other major modules and components included a NASA microgravity laboratory called Destiny Laboratory Module, which was launched in 2001, with Destiny continuing to be the primary research laboratory for US payloads. The Canadarm2 robotic arm was launched in 2001 by CSA. It was originally used only for spacewalks and remote-controlled repairs, but today it is also used to berth cargo spacecraft that can't use the other ports to the space station. Harmony, also known as Node 2, was launched by NASA in October of 2007 and placed on the end of Destiny. Harmony has a docking port for the Space Shuttle and connecting ports for the European laboratory Columbus, mounted on its starboard side in February of 2008, and a port for the Japanese laboratory/experiment module called Kibo, launched in stages between 2008 and 2009. A Dexter robotic hand was launched in 2008 by the CSA as well. A Cupola window and a Tranquility Node 3 was launched in 2010, and a Leonardo permanent multipurpose module was launched by the ESA in 2011 for permanent residency, but was used before that to bring cargo to and from the station. The station's truss, airlocks, and solar panels were launched in stages throughout the ISS lifetime. Of course, there are many parts to the ISS, with this diagram providing a breakdown of how all these pieces fit together, and with the parts circled/boxed in white being some of the pieces that we just discussed. Since 2000, more than 200 astronauts from 18 different countries have visited the ISS. Astronauts typically stay on the ISS for about 6 months, and about every 3 months, a Soyuz returns to Earth with 3 astronauts, and a Soyuz launches with 3 astronauts to replace them. The return of a Soyuz to Earth marks the end of an ISS expedition, and the command of the ISS is transferred to another astronaut. After completion of the ISS, the NASA Space Shuttle was retired from service in 2011. Thereafter, the ISS was serviced by Russia's Progress, Europe's ATB, Japan's H-2 transfer vehicle, and very recently 2 commercial cargo vehicles, Orbital Sciences Corporation's Cygnus and SpaceX's Dragon, with the latter company's latest 2020 crewed space mission making headlines as the first time since 2011 that a crewed vehicle flew from US soil since the retirement of the shuttle. I hope this video helped you to learn more about the ISS and its importance.